welcome to the podcast, Living Uncertain. This podcast is dedicated to obsessive compulsive disorder, OCD, and the primary treatment, exposure response prevention, ERP. OCD comes in many forms, such as contamination, perfectionism, checking, harm, superstitious, religious or moral, sexual orientation, and/or relationship. ERP is the gold standard to treating OCD, and it focuses on deliberately confronting fears, the exposure, while refraining from compulsive rituals, the response prevention. With repeated exposures and without engaging in compulsions, we learn to tolerate anxiety and break the cycle of intrusive thoughts. We are a married couple that have faced both the challenges of OCD and the incredible healing that ERP can provide to your marriage, family, and your home. As a person who lives with OCD, I am much more than this diagnosis. We all can be. Hey y'all, I'm Stacey, and along with my husband Marc, we want to thank you for joining us again and Living Uncertain. This is the podcast that talks all things OCD and ERP related, and welcome to episode 25 today, y'all, where we are going to be talking about late diagnosis of OCD and diving more into what that means and what you can do to help.
It is difficult when you're diagnosed a little bit later.
Yes.
You know, especially that you and I have been married for almost 22 years. And,
Yes.
you know.
And we started thinking about it a lot today. So by the time that you all listen to this podcast, I will have turned 48 years old. And I was 46 by the time I got my diagnosis of OCD. And yet, as a lot of you know who have been listening to a lot of our other episodes, I've had signs and symptoms of OCD since I was in my teenage years, at least since I was 14, 15 years old. And so I've just been kind of living in this perpetual worry and this perpetual fear for all of these years, thinking that it was one thing and realizing now at a later stage in my life that it is something very different. And that very different thing being that it is OCD. And I have had to go through a lot of treatment and a lot of therapy in order to help with my need for compulsions and my intrusive thoughts.
And continuous therapy too.
Yes. Oh, yes. Because, well, I mean, something came up again today as we try to keep these episodes as raw and as authentic as we can. We talk a lot about these real life things that come up that we have to deal with, and knowing always that OCD is going to be there. And we just have a better operating manual now to kind of interrupt that cycle of compulsions. But it doesn't mean that those aren't there. And it doesn't mean that the worry and the anxiety automatically stop. And I think a lot of what I've been reading too, and a lot of the research that I've been doing now, and a lot of others in the community that I hear speak on the matter or write on the matter, talk often about what it looks like to be a later stage, to be diagnosed later in life. And we were always kind of labeled as the perpetual worrier, the perpetual, person with anxiety. Maybe we're uptight. Maybe we plan too much. Maybe we try to control. And while all of those things can be true, what it is really is this need for convincing myself that everything is okay at all times, and for planning for my future, and for planning. And then when I became a wife and a mother, now I'm planning everyone's future so that I can try to quote unquote combat anything negative or upsetting happening. And so I would just spend hours upon hours, day upon day, etc., looping in my own mind, ruminating, if you will, which is 100% a form of OCD. And it is, as I've discussed before, one of the most challenging ones for me personally too. That's why I'm putting it out there, to overcome and to interrupt the cycle of.
That's a lot.
And I just did it again today. I know, and I'm
So
feeling it.
what happened today that you were?
Well, so as I've said on previous podcasts, a lot of my compulsions tend to be caught up in this need for leaving things feeling just right. And a lot of times it's about conversations and interactions with people, whether it's an actual conversation or a text message, email, etc. And so I have to do certain things in order to feel like it's just right. And I've also mentioned that people pleasing became a compulsion of mine because of that just right tendency. And a lot of where it comes in to play for me is that if I agreed with everyone at all times, if I gave everyone what they wanted at all times, if I allowed people to think things about me that weren't true, I could go on with more. Then those would be my ways of allowing my brain to recognize, okay, I feel like I've left that interaction feeling just right.
So what happened today, specifically?
So today I spoke up and
At
spoke
work?
about, yes, and okay, so the other part is that everyone who has been listening to knows that we owned a business. We now no longer own the business, but I was in that position of being the boss, the one in charge, the one in management, etc. And I gave a lot away. Time off, money, power, control in the business, etc., because I was always feeling like I needed to leave things just right.
To the wrong people.
Yes, we've definitely established
To
that
the
one.
wrong.
But that was where I really recognized that I had a people-pleasing compulsion, and that was my way of leaving conversations just right. So I'm used to just kind of agreeing with everyone all the time, or letting them, never trying to speak up, never trying to use my voice, always just being very...
A mouse.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of my life was spent like that too. Yes. And I spoke up about something today, nothing bad, just a policy and procedure that, in the state of Arizona with our profession and what the requirements that we have to have. And so I said something about it to the higher ups in the business and the company that I now am with. And I said it very happily, very friendly, and just said, hey, this is what I've learned and this is what I know that we have to do. And just in doing that, because I didn't feel like I had people pleased enough, I didn't feel like I had left that conversation feeling good.
Because the person on the other end was like, no, you don't need to, but you're like, yes, we need to have,
right.
Yes. There's
yes.
pieces to our licensure that we have to follow.
That,
rules.
and I was actually correct. But because I was speaking up, I didn't feel, that made me feel really uncomfortable. And so I spent a majority of my afternoon today, prior to us even coming here and recording this episode, falling into a very deep trap of rumination. And just like, I couldn't stop thinking about it. I couldn't stop replaying the conversation that I had, replaying every word I said, every word she said, how long did it take for the response, and yada, 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 like all of those things. I ruminated and ruminated. And then I started to worry about being let go from this company because of it. And then that thought started on another loop and another spiral where I thought, oh my gosh, what happens? What if? And then I had to start, which a lot of you know now, again, my very ritualized mental compulsions, which then tried to convince myself that I am okay and that I will be okay and that it doesn't matter what happens. And even if I try to interrupt the thought process and the compulsion and, for example, say, yep, maybe I will get let go. Yep, I probably will. Yeah. And that's what I'm supposed to tell myself in order to interrupt that cycle. And I can do that. But this is the part of my own personal OCD journey that I'm having the hardest time with, is letting go of the mental compulsions and the ruminations. And that has been that was the part that stayed hidden for so many years, and why I became known as you're just a worrier. You're just too uptight. You're just always thinking ahead. You're always thinking to the future. You can't stay present. And again, all those things were true, but I had no idea it was related to an actual diagnosis of what I now know is obsessive compulsive disorder.
So today I got like probably 3 phone calls?
Probably.
2 or 3. The first one was to tell me about it, and then I think like a third one because I think you were going through those mental
Probably.
compulsions, and it wasn't to talk about it, but it was just to have a think of kind of a trying to check in without checking in. Excuse me. And so I could tell that today you were a little dysregulated
I felt
because
it.
of that.
I felt it earlier. Yep.
And one of the things that I've been kind of tracking or watching, So currently we live in, an urban neighborhood, and you and I want to move away from that lifestyle.
We do indeed.
With neighbors right up next to you and that type of thing, and move a little bit further out. And I've started to recognize when you're feeling dysregulated.
I don't like where this is going.
I know.
I'm really unhappy about where this is going right now, just for the record.
You asked me this afternoon in the car, are we going to be able to get to that house? The house that we want to build. Are we going to be able to get to that?
Yeah.
And once again, it's that making sure that you have a strong understanding of your future, or
right. I want
certainty
that everything is going to work out. I want the certainty that everything's going to be okay. I need it. I crave it. It's like I can't be without it, and yet I am working towards it, and I have felt better now than I have in many, many years, where I am feeling more like I'm living in the present moment, where I am not feeling so much like I need to find the certainty in everything. I mean, I literally tattooed the name of our podcast on my arm because that's the saying that I use in my life every day now, which is living uncertain. But it is so much easier said than done. And I want everyone out there who's listening, those of you who have OCD and are struggling with similar things that I do, those of you who love someone who struggles with similar things that I do, and who also have diagnoses of OCD, for those of you who are just seeking more information about what OCD is and misconceptions that could be out there, I am here to say that living uncertain is a beautiful thing. And I have learned to embrace it, and I have gotten so much. I feel so blessed that I have gotten to feel what that feels like now, but it's not perfect, and it doesn't stay with me all the time, and it's still a work in progress, and I still have to work very hard.
But what I think you don't realize either is like I live my life with uncertainty as well. Like I don't know if we'll get to that house.
Please don't say that.
My hope is, my goal, my dream, my
not what I want to hear.
It's to get there. But I've realized that you asked me that question when you're a little dysregulated.
I feel that too.
And I realized that too, to be honest, I realized it today.
Yeah. I'm seeking that certainty that we are going to get to that future plan that we have, because the idea of not getting to it is too much anxiety for me as well. So then I have to remember that I have to bring myself back into the present. And I have lots of ways that I have to, that I've learned how to do that as well. One of which is just to look at my arm and see what it says and remember why I'm doing what we're doing and why I do what I do all day long, every day, because I want to stay grounded in the present. But because I was, again, kind of going back to that whole idea that I was a late diagnosis, I've just been labeled the worrier all my life. I've been constantly worried about the other shoe falling, and the world ending and the plan going awry and I'm just constantly in a loop in my own head about anything and everything except what I should be in my head about or what I should be thinking about at any given time. Now I say that to say I've gotten so much better, because a lot of our episodes have been about what we've been through, how we've overcome it, what ERP we've tackled, and how much it has changed our life. And man, has it. And I'm here to say that it is a life-changing experience to go through an intensive ERP program, to go through intensive ERP with a trusted partner like I have with Marc. Like, it is absolutely life-altering in the best of ways. I just get saddened and frustrated, I suppose, that I wish that it were more permanent, because I still struggle. And I still have to remind myself to do the ERP, and I still have to remind myself to interrupt the compulsions so that I'm not winding up the cycle again.
You know, like with me being on blood pressure medication, probably part of it because of your OCD back in the day. No.
Come on.
It's hereditary. You know, in my family, but you know, I take my medication, you know, every day.
Yep.
But I go to the doctor every 6 months to have a med check. And
Right.
every time you go to the doctor and they take your blood pressure, you're like, yes, it's, you know, still low. I mean, honestly, that's what I think about every time I go and have my blood pressure taken.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I do a check, you know,
Mm-hmm.
hey, where am I at? You know, even at home, we got the blood pressure cuff and I'll check it. Oh, good. We're still in a good spot. Yours can change on a dime.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I know my blood pressure medication is going to still be constant. And if not, I can change medication to try something different.
Right.
You know, with ERP, you have to stay the course.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and
although our intensive treatment has ended, that didn't necessarily signify the end of my OCD. Like, oh, it's all done now. I have it figured out. Everything's just right. And it's going to stay just right now for the end, until the end of time.
yeah,
That's not the way that it works. And again, having to embrace the uncertainty of having OCD too, which, wow, I never really thought of it that way, but it kind of is.
and then you throw another layer on top of your OCD, which is your perimenopause.
Sure. Let's talk about that. Like I said, by the time y'all listen to this, I'll have turned 48 years old, and I am definitely in a new phase of my own life. And so shout out to all those perimenopausal moms out there, those of us who have OCD and who don't. It is still a very interesting time in our life. But when you throw on something like hormonal changes, perimenopause, etc., with a diagnosis of OCD and what that means, man, I think, you know, I feel for those of you out there who are in the same age bracket that I'm in, and we're dealing with the same kind of diagnosis. It is not for the faint of heart. It's not easy. We are raising teenage children right now, which is hard enough in itself.
And a young adult.
And then, well, he's an adult, but he's still a teenager. So, you know, we're going to call it what it is. But even raising young adults and teenagers in our phase of life, and then on top of it having a mental disorder like OCD that challenges your notion of reality because it's trying to trick you and lie to you so often, can be so, I mean, it can be so difficult and very overwhelming. And in those days that I feel more dysregulated, Marc's right. I will focus in on trying to check in with him to get reassurance about our future, because I am looking for that certainty. So I appreciate you bringing that up, babe.
Absolutely. Because now I get to say, I don't know. I'm not sure.
That's great. And yeah. And a lot of times I feel like once we put it out here on the podcast, like, it's out there. So then I have to think about it and go, oh yeah, okay. I think he was right about that one.
which is difficult because, you got to look at what dreams are. I mean, everybody has dreams
Mm-hmm.
and goals,
Mm-hmm.
but it doesn't mean you're going to hit those targets.
And life always changes. Like that's
And
part of
there's
the miracle of
curveballs
life. And
all the
that's how it
time.
goes. And what do they say? They say that I don't know if I'm saying this correctly, but the journey is worth more than the destination, or however they will say something of that kind of phrasing. It's hard for me because of my OCD, and I'm sure a lot of you out there who have OCD, not to just jump right to the destination. I just don't. The journey, yeah, okay, but I want the destination because I want the certainty that that's where I'm going to land.
And you absolutely have a hard time living in the present, because just like the scenario today, the situation happened in the present, and then you ended up living in the past. And then I got home and we started talking about the future.
Well, look at you, man. This guy, I'm telling you, he could run these ERP sessions at this point.
You have a hard time living in the moment.
Yes.
Of life sometimes. Yes. and not able to enjoy it. That was the great thing about our vacation that we just took, is you were living in the moment.
100%. And I noticed it and I saw it too.
Instead of living in the future or the past.
And yes.
And most of the time on our vacations, it was never the past. It was always the future.
Yes.
So to get you grounded in the moment, that should be your next tattoo. Stay in the moment.
Interesting. Okay. I will consider.
You won't put my name. You won't tattoo my name or anything.
No.
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 Stay in the moment.
Perhaps, yes.
Because that's a big one. That's one that I see is you have a hard time in the moment.
I do. And I think that's where I get frustrated with my own diagnosis now, is because I realize I want to stay in the moment. I want to stay present. But man, that OCD, man, it just sneaks right in and it pops me right out of it. And it either pops me into the past or into the future, just like you said, or most likely both. Just
like today, I had probably 4 or 5 meetings with people. And during each meeting, I took notes, put them in the calendar invite so they were there. But I've already moved past all 5 of those meetings, and I couldn't really tell you what I honestly talked about in those meetings. But I know there's a written history of them.
That is such a foreign concept to me, because I pretty much can verbatim replay every conversation I've almost ever had, because I do it so often and so quickly now in my own, it just goes there. And I have to fight the need for it to go there.
But how many of those conversations are factual, or part of it are made up?
Well, I mean, I don't know that they're made up, but I think the way that I feel about them is manufactured at some point, because I'm trying to figure out whether or not I said something or did something or wrote something that might have been misinterpreted or misunderstood, or did it come across the right way? Was I wrong? Was I right? If I was wrong, oh my God, the sky is falling. If I was right, oh my gosh, they're going to hate me because I shouldn't have said anything and I should have just gone with whatever everyone else said. Yeah.
One of the things I do know that you've gotten a lot better with, and it's funny, as you were saying that, I was thinking about something that your mom has told you and I have told you back in the day.
Back in the day. Oh, man. See, we are just aging ourselves so much on this podcast.
Back in the good old days.
Like,
one of the things that she would tell you is, stop telling me how I feel.
Yeah.
And you would do that to me all the time too.
Sure.
And you haven't done that to me in a long time.
Well, I'm glad. I thought that was a misnomer for a long time, even when she would say it, because I didn't really understand what that meant. I could understand what it meant, but I was so caught up in
you didn't know why you were coming up with
realizing
that.
why she would need to say that or why you would even need to say that to me until recently, obviously. And then it really hit me. And now that you're saying that I don't necessarily do that to you anymore, that definitely is a win again, for me, for us, for you. And that makes me feel good. I've come a long way. We've come a long way. And I know that people out there listening are also coming a long way in their own journeys or ready to start and want that and, you know, have the motivation to want to get that to that point too. I just have to remember that it's a journey.
Yeah. And you don't know what the future is going to hold.
Damn it.
Even though you want to.
So much.
But we don't know what's going to happen with our kids.
Don't say that.
We don't know if Miles
No, I think
will.
you have to say that, right?
We don't know if Miles will finish college or not, or continue down the path of what he wants to do for a career or not. We don't know if Avery will be successful in-person high school. And we're hoping both of those. Yeah, because T minus, 12 hours. Sorry, 13 hours and first day of high school.
It's just I've always been labeled one thing. And now at 46, I recognized that it was actually something very different. And now at 48, I've had the last 2 years to live my life differently than I ever have before. And I'm so grateful for that opportunity. And I just need to remember that I have so much more to have and give and be and do.
Even with the uncertain future?
Yes.
You have all of that still, even with the
I think so. Was that yeah.
Certain future?
I'm pretty sure that I do.
That's living in the moment.
I know.
To see what you have.
I understand. But I just have been a worrier all my life. I've been in my head worrying about everything and everyone my entire life, to where I can't live in the present, where I can't live in the moment. And it struck me again today that I had another moment where I'm sitting on my ruminations going, oh man, OCD just snuck right back in again today. But I'm never going to get to a point where it doesn't sneak back in.
It just gets easier.
It gets a little easier, and it gets easier to recognize. And
it's not as
now
loud.
I know what to do instead of.
It's not as loud in your head, I think.
Yeah, it's definitely not as loud. It's quieted down immensely.
And you are able to control it, but there are some times that it kind of runs rampant. But
yeah, and to be honest, if anyone else were sitting here talking to us about this, my first thing out of my mouth would be, look how far you've come though, and you have to remember to give yourself grace. And I think it's hard to give ourselves grace because when we so readily offer it to other people.
Mm-hmm.
I would offer people on a journey, no matter what their journey, no matter what their circumstances would be, to give them grace throughout that journey. And that's something that I've learned. But when it comes to me, I just get immediately frustrated.
You give grace. You used to give grace to everybody for everything.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's not even, I wouldn't even say that was grace. That was a whole different situation. I mean, we've made a policy in this podcast to keep things more generalized when we speak about certain things and people in our past and our life. And I think it's a good policy. It's one that we'll stick to because it's to the benefit of everyone, including ourselves. But yeah, there was a big change. That's not the way I want to say it. Not a big change, but we had something really big happen to us.
Yeah. But we made it through it. That was the big part.
I had people in my life.
I think what happened to
that
us
didn't help.
No, and I think what happened to us over the past 3 years or so, that if our marriage wasn't strong and our communication wasn't where it is, our marriage probably wouldn't have survived that.
No, it would
Most
not have.
marriages probably wouldn't have
No.
survived what we went
agreed.
through.
Agreed. No, it wouldn't have. And I agree. Most wouldn't.
And I think that's why we're sitting here today, because we do feel that it has, we've survived the tidal wave, the tsunami.
Yes.
And now we're on this side of it, and we're able to talk about it and share our experiences and whatnot.
And we will stay here.
Yeah.
Talking about it and sharing our observations and our experiences and whatever else we feel could help in this amazing community of people, because what we do when we have OCD to try to help ourselves out of it is not easy.
No. So if you or a loved one has been dealing with OCD and has been going through treatment, or, done treatment and want to come on and share it, please let us know. Send us an email, or,
we'd love to hear from you.
Even if you want to come on for 10 minutes to share your story.
We'd love to hear your journey.
Because it is a journey, and it's something that should be celebrated. Not, don't shy away from your accomplishments, because it is it's a big accomplishment, and other people would like to hear your story too, because it's inspiring for other people out there. I know when you started going through your ERP, I was listening to some podcasts with people sharing their stories, and it is very inspiring to know that there is.
Absolutely. Just to know that we're not alone.
Yeah.
We're not alone as those of us who have OCD, and y'all who are spouses and loved ones of those with OCD are not alone.
So even if you're the spouse and you want to come on and talk about your experience, you don't have to, say names or anything like that. Just come on and share your experience. And if you have OCD and you want to come on and share your experience, we'd love to have you on and be a part of the show. So continue to like our episodes, and, wherever you follow us, we appreciate it. And continue on listening and living uncertain with us every day.
Yeah. Thank you all. Thank you for joining us on today's episode and living uncertain with us. We are not therapists, and this podcast is intended to provide information and support. It should not replace traditional means of seeking help from a licensed mental health professional. If you like this episode or would like to hear more, please like, subscribe, or share with someone you think may benefit. Here at Living Uncertain, we're building a community of support. If you and your significant other would like to share your story, we would love to have you on the podcast. Please click on the link in the episode description and fill out the interest form.